Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So in this one here, I want to talk about episode 21 because obviously that episode is airing later on tonight, or I guess early Sunday morning at like 3 a.m. Eastern. I'm very excited to watch this episode. I've been seeing some early reviews online. Some people, aren't the most excited about this episode, but I've seen a lot of other people say that this episode was by far the best one. So yeah, we're just gonna have to wait and watch, right? Because like at this point, it's kind of hard to say. But that's what this episode is all about. Sort of talking about episode 21 here, and I also want to talk about expectations regarding some storylines here. So before we go any further, obviously make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. Also, definitely go follow me on Twitch if you haven't already. I will be live later on tonight, and we'll watch the episode tonight, and I'll be reacting to it, so you'll get that. And yeah, I'm just very excited for this, and not even just episode 21. Like, I'm excited for the episode 22 trailer as well. So yeah, there's a lot to talk about here, but I guess to sort of recap some of the storylines that we're really looking forward to here. So, episode 21's trailer really showed us a lot of that train, and we're all wondering where that train is going. Now, do I think we're going to learn where it's going in this episode? I don't necessarily think so. I don't think they're going to like jump on the train and it's going to take them to the Civic Republic. There's no way. Like, I don't even think in this series that we're going to see the Civic Republic. I just think that the train will obviously lead them to where Negan, Ezekiel, and everyone else is staying, because you got to remember too, like that's the one thing too, talking about these episodes and talking about the trailers and stuff like that for the next episode, we're almost like a week ahead a little bit. Like technically based off of some of the scenes that we have seen so far, right? Like based off of episode 20, we have no idea what this camp is like, right? We have no idea where Negan, Ezekiel, Kelly, and the others were taken. There's some stuff there with Herschel as well. Like, we don't know what's going on with any of that there. So I think before we get into any sort of Civic Republic reveal, as a writer, I think you want to establish just the new setting and what's happening there, right? So that's why I think if there is anything, maybe there's a line set or there's just a little tease or something like that, right? But it really does kind of feel like they are saving it for like episode 23, maybe even 24, to be honest, because we all know how The Walking Dead is, right? Like, we've been watching this show for literally years now. Whenever there's this big reveal that we're sort of waiting for, they seem to really wait until the very, very end almost all the time, right? Like, they almost wait for the very last episode or the episode before, and then that's where we get the reveal. And then beforehand, it's just a lot of build up. They'll tease you with little lines of dialogue here and there, kind of give you a hint a little bit as to where they're going. But it really does feel like that's where they're going here. And it makes sense when I look at it like this. Like, say episode 24 is where we get like the very last episode. That's where we get that Civic Republic reveal and the reveal that, everyone finds out Rick's alive. Or say it happens at the very end of 23, basically, right? Based off of that, it's like, okay, so everyone knows now, and then it's just sort of dealing with the Commonwealth or whatever, and then ending that storyline, and then just, how do you wrap it up there, basically? Well, if that is where the reveal is happening, say like late episode 23 or early episode 24 or whatever, then that would mean that we have 21 and 22 to really, get into this camp storyline, to get into what's happening here with, I know at some point they're going to return to the Commonwealth, and to sort of deal with some of these things, introduce new things, and set the story, right? And then this way you're sort of at the end there, the final battle or whatever's going to happen there. And that's really my expectations, I would say, for the next couple of episodes. I was hoping that we would get it a little bit earlier. I was really hoping for that, just because I feel like we need some time to live with it a little bit, right? And it would really suck to just kind of get it right at the end. And again, I'm saying it would really suck because I just want to live with that storyline a little bit, right? And not just find out and be like, wow, that's so cool, and then all of a sudden it just like, it's over, and now we gotta wait for the spinoffs to really go into it a lot more. And I have a feeling that's probably gonna be what it is anyways. But again, it also depends on how they do it. Like, it really depends on how they do it. Like, I'm picturing them finding out in just the most ridiculous way ever. So again, it really depends on how they manage the storyline, because they could do it in a way that's really amazing. And that's why I'm really looking forward to episode 22's trailer. I think this episode could be something that really does hype people up, because, I mean, honestly, after 21, we got 3 more left. Like, that's it. Just 3 more episodes left. And so they got to start building this up quite a bit here. I mean, they are starting to a little bit, but we're sort of in a weird transition, like episode 19 and 20, even 21. It's like the middle part of these 8 episodes, right? If you really think about how the episodes, I would say, are structured, 17 and 18 was really dealing with the Lance arc and the Sebastian arc, right? Basically closed all of that. 19, I guess, was sort of a slower episode, but it did introduce some more stuff with Lance and Pamela. 20 sort of wraps that, but again, like 17 and 18 wrapped up some stuff from part 2. 19 and 20 slowly introduced this new sort of arc that we're on, where we're seeing where all these missing people are going. And I think 21 and 22 are going to explain what is happening to them, with 23 and 24 just being sort of, wrapping everything up. And then 24, I guess, being the ending to everything here. And I guess I am a little concerned with how they are planning to wrap all this up, because I don't necessarily know how they're going to wrap this up in that episode, right? It almost feels like, and that's just the way, I don't know if it's just me, but I'm almost wanting them to wrap up everything in episode 23. This way in 24, that episode really is just them just sort of hanging out, doing whatever. I almost don't want this season to end with so much action, right? Or even if it ends with a lot of action the first like half an hour of the episode, and then in the second half, I would like it to calm down a bit and just sort of be more peaceful and whatnot. But it depends. Again, people view this differently. Like, I've always liked the finales where it was just sort of a nice transition to the next season. I never liked the finales that were always so big and so epic or whatever. I always liked the more personal character stuff. I look back at like episode 16 of season 4, the finale there titled A. That episode was so great. It was amazing to see Rick in that situation. And honestly, some stuff happens there, but it's nothing crazy. It's just more of these very intense moments, but it's all character stuff. And I really like finales like that. And so with the amount of action that we see in the trailer, some stuff that we haven't even seen yet on the show, man, like I imagine a lot of it's going to be in 23. But again, I don't want that final episode to be all crazy action. And I think a lot of people want that. Like, I think a lot of people do want that. So that's one of those things going into the very last episode. Like, I know once that last episode airs, people are going to be upset about it. Like, people are going to complain. It's almost guaranteed. Like, there's no way, because if it's constant action throughout the whole thing and then it ends in a way, like, I might complain about it, right? But if they do a really great balance with it, or maybe they focus more on the character stuff, some people might say, oh wow, it just ends so poorly. It's just so boring. Like, you know what I mean? Because there's always been that sort of, I guess, thing with this show. Like, even going back to season 1, 2, 3, or whatever, like, people always wanted every finale, every premiere to have a big death. And when it never happened, there'd always be people complaining about it. So it's just, we're at that point now where I can start to see it a little bit more online. Like, I can see people starting to criticize certain things a little bit. Some stuff I do agree with. I am a little concerned on how they're going to wrap up certain things. But mostly, I guess, the two storylines that I'm concerned with is, how do they retake Alexandria? Like, we're going into episode 21. So we've watched 17, 18, 19, and 20. So that's 4 episodes. We got 4 more left. And we haven't even seen Alexandria yet. Like, that's kind of crazy to me. I would have figured that we would have seen Alexandria already and just see what it's on, like, what's happening there. I think that's actually pretty bad, to be honest. I think in episode 18, even 19 was the perfect episode, to be honest. I think we should have saw what happened to them. And then there's some stuff with Oceanside, like what's happening there. So that's really the 3 big things there. It's Oceanside, it's Alexandria, and then it's this whole Commonwealth arc. It's those 3 big storylines. To be honest, those are the 3 things you need to wrap up. With the Hilltop and the Kingdom and stuff, I don't care if we don't see them. I imagine that they'll show a montage at the very, very end, and that's totally fine because there's nothing going on there, right? I think the montage at the end might show them rebuilding, and that's totally fine. That's like, honestly, I'm totally cool with that. We saw a lot of Hilltop in part 2, so like I'm totally fine with that. But I just, they have to retake Alexandria in some way. It has to be in a way where it's not rushed, first of all. The Oceanside stuff still has to matter. And then you got to wrap up the Commonwealth arc. And you have to do all of that in 4 episodes here. And I think it's doable. To retake Alexandria, if they can get there fast enough. And again, 21, like, it's titled Outpost 22, so they're going back there. But who knows? Like, I don't know how much we're going to see them back there and actually retake this place. Like, is it going to be a really fast fight? Like, I actually want it to be a pretty epic battle. And that's the thing. Like, I don't know if it's going to be, because I noticed with this season anyways, when there's these epic battles, you know, there'll be an epic battle for like five minutes or something at the very end of an episode. And then the next episode begins, and then you see a little bit of a montage, and then it's over. You know, I hate that. Like, I really do hate that, because it does cut the momentum completely. There's no epic battle. And when I look back to season 8 of The Walking Dead, you know, during All Out War, that actually felt like some real legit battles. And it's crazy because I used to criticize it back then for not being that legit, but it's crazy because when you look back at it, like, it's actually really good. You know, some of the battle stuff in season 7 and 8 is honestly awesome. I know the final battle, people criticize the whole tree thing, but like, just the stuff beforehand, honestly, early season 8 was just really good. And that's what I want here. You know, I want a little bit more intensity here. And so in terms of this episode and what I'm really looking forward to, I want this episode to almost in a way, like, it is titled Outpost 22, maybe somehow reclaim Alexandria and do it in a way where it does actually feel really earned and it actually feels really intense and not rushed at all. I don't want it to feel rushed. In 22, and that's the thing, there's the whole Eugene storyline as well. In 22, maybe show us some of the Eugene stuff and then wrap up Oceanside as well. You know, I think that would be really, really smart. And then in 23, just whatever's going to happen there, maybe they have Alexandria back. And then, but basically for episode 23 and 24, it's all about taking down Pamela Milton and just surviving at that point or whatever. And I think, honestly, you're in a good place at that point. Like, it just can't feel rushed. And I think that's honestly, like, it's going to be a criticism no matter what. We'll see how they handle it. But I already know that when I review this whole season after the show's over, I'm going to say that season 11, part 2 and part 3 were pretty strong, but felt very rushed at the end. And the reason why was because of the Reaper arc. I really feel like that the Reaper arc just really ruined the season. Like, it's been good. There's been moments that have been getting better and better, but we haven't been able to spend time, like that much time here with the Commonwealth arc. And it just feels like we just got into this arc and it's already ending. And again, the Reaper arc to me was just so pointless. Leah as a character was so pointless. Like, why introduce her if you were just going to kill her off like that? I just don't understand it. There was some really cool stuff that happened in the comic there between the Whisperer arc and the Commonwealth arc. You know, it was a lot of Rick just sort of moping around and whatnot, but you could have done that. You know, there was a lot of people predicting that Connie would die at the end of season 10. You know, you could have done that, which would have destroyed Daryl, and you could have gave Daryl that storyline, right? Like, there was just so many things that you could have done to make this really epic. Or you could have did that with Gabriel and Rosita, right? A lot of people wanted Gabriel to have the ladder death that he had in the comic, and you didn't do that at the end of season 10. And I understand too, because the world kind of paused, so we didn't get, you know, it did cut off some momentum there a little bit, and then the bonus episodes happened, so there was a mess there. And honestly, to me, that's really what hurt a lot of this. When I look back at it, it was those bonus episodes and then season 11A. It just, like, The Walking Dead had so much momentum, so much going for it, that just really, it took everything out of it. And you know, they've been building it back right now. It's been building and building, and it's slowly getting there again. But I have a feeling that, you know, the spin-offs and the fact that they were announced and the fact that Rick is coming back next year, I think is actually, if anything, is what fans are mostly excited for. Because personally, for me, I'm excited to see how they're going to close this out. Am I excited to see how the Commonwealth arc is going to close out? Not really. I'm interested in it because I want to see how it's done. I don't really care for it though right now. I just want to see some of the Civic Republic stuff. I want to see how they find out Rick's alive. And then once the show is done, it's almost like a sense of relief in a sense, because maybe we get a Rick Grimes post-credit scene, and then we're in the era of the spin-offs. And I think that's going to be so much fun, because the story's not going to feel so intense. It's going to be more focused on just specific core characters. We're going to get Rick and Michonne back again. And then all of a sudden, the story is so exciting. And I think that's how people feel right now. I really do feel like that's how people feel about this. And I just think the announcement of the spinoffs, honestly, I know what they're trying to do with that. I totally get it, because it does keep people really excited. But it's just that doing that kind of hurt The Walking Dead here, right? And so maybe in the future, once everything's all said and done, looking back at the season, things will feel a little bit different. But that's just kind of how I feel right now. It is kind of hard to get into this Commonwealth arc. I'm mostly, honestly, just kind of excited about some of the Civic Republic stuff and the build to the spin-offs here. So yeah, that's sort of how I'm feeling here going into episode 21. Like, I'm not ruling out any Civic Republic thing, but I have a feeling that they are building this to episode 23 and 24. I'm still very excited for this, because not even that, we're also going to get the episode 22 trailer. So I am so hyped for that. I really cannot wait for that. But yeah, anyways, I'm gonna leave it here. Definitely post all your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.